Welcome, Kane. What message would you say to anyone who's ever picked up a bat and ball in New Zealand, like yourself at Pill's Point, about this dream of an opportunity tomorrow at Lords?
Oh, I guess anything's possible. I guess when you take yourself back to that point in time, it feels like a long way away, and you make a few small steps forward and you work pretty hard together as a group, and next thing you might find yourself here. And it's obviously a really special occasion tomorrow, and to be involved in a World Cup and representing your country, let alone to turn up here at the home of cricket and be involved in a final is pretty special.
Kane, you and Gary, and I suppose everyone else in the team, always talk about how it's just one game at a time, and Gary yesterday was saying that this is no different to any other game of cricket, but how on earth can you kind of go in, that must be really hard to go in with that mindset when you know that you're playing England in the World Cup final at Lords. How do you do that?
Yeah, I think any game that you play in, you deal with different distractions, and naturally in a World Cup final there brings other distractions, and there's a lot more people here today, and perhaps that may be one. But there's obviously another bunch of other things where all different thoughts can go through your mind of potential realities. But certainly where Gary and myself and all the group come from, it's keeping your feet on the ground and looking to play the sort of cricket that you want to play to give yourself the best chance, regardless of whether it's a semi-final, a round-robin game, or fortunate enough now to be in a final. At the end of the day, it is still a cricket match where both teams are looking to go out and implement their plans as best they can to give themselves the best chance.
Stand in front.
Can you tell us about the importance of first 10 overs? Because if Jason Roy and Bairstow can stay longer, then they are really damaging the opposition. Yeah,
those two have been fantastic throughout this whole competition and prior as well. And I think we mentioned that before that there's a whole, there's a number of other parts to perhaps playing in a World Cup final, but there is a huge amount of respect for the match winners that they have within their side, obviously at the top of the order and throughout. But the focus for us is very much about the cricket that we want to play and the performance that we want to put on the board. And if we do that, then I think we've seen throughout this competition that anybody can beat anybody.
And then Liam, and then come to you.
Kane, do you subscribe to the theory that it's better to have played in a final than not? And apart from the obvious in terms of the result, what do you sort of hope to do differently this time around? Well, there's a whole heap of different things, I suppose. We were in a different part of the world on a different surface against a different opposition, and both sides are very, very different from 4 years ago. So it's kind of hard to compare those times. Whether having had experience in a final or not is a good thing. I think any final you get the opportunity to play in is a really positive thing. But at the same time, as we know in this game, nothing promises. So it does come down to putting a performance on the board that gives us the best opportunity to win. And both sides will be very much looking to do that and trying to treat the game as any other game. But it's a really exciting, special occasion, and I think both teams will be savouring the opportunity to be where we are at the moment. Are you any more relaxed at all this time around?
4 years ago, how did I feel? I don't know. It's just very different. We have a very different group, a slightly different, I guess, vibe and ethos and how we operate. But at the same time, there's a real commitment to that, which is a really positive thing, and it's held us in good stead up until this point. And so, the focus for us is about the cricket that we want to play, and we want to be proud of the performance that we put on the board.
What are you a person who loves winning or you hate losing? Which one of you are you? And as a captain, 4 years back, you're just a player. How do you relate to losses, especially in the evenings? Does it take time for you to recover, or you just move on as a captain in the losses?
I try not to get too sort of caught up in the results, and hopefully not too emotional about just the outcome, and maybe look at it with a little bit more
reason and where we perhaps could have improved, and where some things that maybe were out of our control had an impact on the game, and then try and move on from that as quickly as possible. So there's always more to the picture than just the end point, and that is sort of the focus for us as a team. It's actually putting our efforts into the moment, how we want to operate as a group. And it may well be very different to other sides and how they operate, which is fine, but we trust in it, and it's important that we do, and we look forward to tomorrow, treating it with a huge amount of respect, because it's not very often you get the opportunity to be out in a World Cup final, but very much focus on what we need to try and achieve.
Are you a guy who loves winning more,
Oh,
or you hate losing?
I prefer winning than losing. Yeah, I guess that's probably the best way to say it. But there's always any experience that you have is an opportunity to learn, and sometimes tough experiences, being on the wrong side of results, can sometimes slap you in the face and give you a glaring lesson. And if you ignore that, then I don't think that's a positive thing. So treating both of those, the outcomes, with respect and trying to learn from them to be better as a group and as an individual, I think is the best part.
Over here to the left.
Hi, Faye Barker, ITV News. I know, as has just been said, you were second in the last final. How would you feel if you are second again tomorrow?
We've sort of spoken a little bit about results, and it's not so much about that. It's not willing the perfect performance. You don't have to be perfect, but it is about how we want to operate as a side. And that's been the case throughout this tournament. We've tried to adjust to conditions as best we could, and we've been fairly effective in doing that, and we want to be good at that again come tomorrow, and we want to focus on the tasks that are at hand for us to play our best cricket, and the end point is the end point.
Do you feel you're the underdogs, and does that give you more impetus to just go out there and try harder? A
lot of people say that on a number of occasions, which is great, and I think England rightly so deserve to be favourites. I think coming into this tournament from the start they were favourites, and they've been playing really good cricket. But whatever dog we are, it's just important that we focus on the cricket that we want to play, and we've seen over the years that that anybody can beat anybody, regardless of breed of dog.
Chris.
Kane, those of us who've been lucky enough to go to New Zealand know how lovely you guys are as a people, but how would it feel tomorrow being the party poopers at Lord's?
Party poopers? You're talking about dogs again, eh? Underdogs? Look, we're really looking forward to the occasion, and like I say, the end point and the result, there's a lot of time between now and that point, so focusing too much on it I don't think is a positive thing, and the focus for us as a group is what's in front of us. And we know you go into any match and you have to deal with a number of different things, whether it's different moments of pressure, whether it's different moments of momentum, and we have to be prepared to deal with all of those again.
Are you guys getting a sense of how big this is back home in New Zealand?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of support come through, which is awesome. I suppose the last World Cup was at home, and a lot of the attention was sort of there on your doorstep, and we had crowds of Kiwis coming to every game, and obviously we're playing at home, which was really special. And over here we've got a few scattered in amongst the majority of opposition crowds, but that's great as well. And I know we're getting a lot of support from a long way off.
This huge expectation on England and pressure, you might say, can that work for you?
Yeah, don't know really. We just have to turn up tomorrow, and we'll have to see what unfolds. It's nothing promises in this game. Everybody has different bits of pressure, and how you treat it can be a big part of that. But I would probably have to say that England are focused on the cricket that they want to play, whether they're favourites or not, and we're focused on the cricket that we want to play as well.
You feel the pressure's off you, though?
Oh, well, we're quite keen on winning as well, so I think there's all different bits of pressure on anybody.
whether you're favourites or not.
Lloyd down the back. Carl, I can pass it down. Yep, Lloyd.
You seem to be a lot more relaxed today than before the India game. Are you? And secondly, why do you think
When did we
you and
hang
the
out
team-
before the Indian game?
And secondly, why do you think you and the team will have an edge over England?
Why do we
think you and the team will have an edge over England?
Why do we think we have the edge? We don't really think that in particular. We're just focusing on the sort of cricket that we want to play, and hopefully that sort of performance, despite being a final or a semi-final or a must-win or a 5-match series, we still want to be putting out a strong performance that gives ourselves the best chance, whether it's you want to win something more than another day. I don't think that's always helpful, so peeling it back, coming back to the performance or the small moments, mucking in as a group, which is something we've done well throughout this campaign, working together, are all parts of what we need to try and achieve tomorrow.
Julian.
Kane, sorry. You always seem fairly level-headed, whatever the situation of the game is, whatever the state of the match is. Is that something you had to learn as a player, or has that just always been your approach?
I think forever learning. You're just constantly having so many different experiences, and the sport that we play, there's so many uncontrollables that you need to try and deal with, and that is a real challenge at times. So it's, like I say, it's forever learning. Learning about the game and about yourself and different emotions that you can feel. But, as a group, for us it is important that we are level in how we operate and keep peeling it back to what's important.
Move into down the back.
Kia ora, Kane. You speak about not being at home and the competition not on your doorstep, but Lords does hold a very special place to you and the Black Caps. So how do you wrap your mind around that in such, on a big stage, on a grand final, and what are the conversations you have as a captain to try and keep minds sound, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really special place to play cricket on any day. But I guess with the added attention of a World Cup final means it's perhaps a little bit more special than another day, which is great. And the guys are really excited at the prospect tomorrow and going out there and playing the sort of cricket that we want to play. And in terms of conversations with other guys have been having chats on a number of occasions, which is cool. And I can say that they're just really excited at looking forward to going out to tomorrow and taking on what's a really strong England side.
Last few, Dave.
Kane, Owen Morgan's been quite open about his England team taking inspiration from the way New Zealand played in 2015. Is that a massive compliment, or is it annoying because they've become so good off the back of that?
Yeah, whether they, well, if he said that, that's kind or whatever it is, it's great. But I think in the last World Cup, which was perhaps seen as a negative, is I think a real catalyst for the changes that they've made and the force that they are and how they're playing their cricket, certainly in the white ball format. And I think Owen's been a massive part in changing that, and rightly so, they're now ranked #1 in the world. So they deserve all of those good parts that come with that, and they've been playing really good cricket. And it's always a tough one. You don't tend to just change the way you play. You also need to very much work with the group that you have and try and make adjustments accordingly to get the best out of the personnel that you have at the time, and that's forever changing. But they certainly made some strong changes really quickly, and they've been playing really good white ball cricket for a long time.
Just going here, George.
We know that England prefer really good batting surfaces. This one looks quite green. Is that encouraging to you guys?
Perhaps encouraging to seam bowlers on both sides, but we don't know what the wicket has in store. It's still a bit of time between now and the start of play, and I haven't had a close look at it just yet because we've just arrived, but usually a fairly fair surface here, but I think at the same time one that guys need to adapt quickly to, like any other surface that we've seen in the World Cup.
Last couple.
Kane, you've just mentioned adapting quickly and assessing conditions seems to be something you guys have done really well through the tournament. Is that down to the sort of variety of conditions you have to face back at home? And how much courage does it take against a powerhouse batting lineup like India or England to go, we're settling for 240?
Yeah, it is a challenge. You know, I think turning up, most teams, having played here before, expected perhaps scores to be a lot higher than what we've seen. But the reality of it is that they have been quite tough surfaces, and there's been surfaces that have aged throughout perhaps a match on one day. So trying to make those adjustments are really important. And I think if you're focusing on what you need to try and do as a group in the cricket that you want to play, then making those adjustments, like in the last game, I think both sides looked at the surface, thought it was a really good one. I thought perhaps 300 and something was what was going to be at play, but after sort of 15 overs or so, we're having conversations thinking this is really quite difficult, and 300 looks like a long, long way away. So if we're able to perhaps achieve something a little bit more realistic on that surface, then that gives you every chance to win the matches. And we've done it on a number of occasions, but we're going to have to be good at doing that tomorrow. And surfaces at times have been hard to read, especially with the preempted ideas of what most teams came into the World Cup with, which is very, very high scoring and perhaps tough work for the bowlers. Bowlers have, I think, enjoyed themselves a little bit. So yeah, tomorrow is a new challenge, a fresh occasion where we'll need to make those adjustments quickly.
Kane, a lot has been made over here of what an England World Cup win would do for English cricket. But what do you think a first World Cup win for New Zealand would do for cricket for you in that country?
Yeah, I mean, it'll obviously like to think it would have a really positive impact on the sport in our country, and having played in the previous one and being in the final there, it still had a massive impact in terms of perhaps inspiring kids to get involved in the game, which at the end of the day, when you move past a number of different parts of the professional game, that is kind of why you do it. And hopefully there's a lot of kids out there that have been enjoying the sort of cricket that we've been playing, and appreciate a lot of the hard work that's gone into being here now, but also really excited at watching a final with their team in it. So it would be a really special thing.